Hey Genesis family, this week's word of encouragement comes to us from Hebrews chapter 3 verses 12 and 13. See to it, brothers and sisters, that none of you has a sinful, unbelieving heart that turns away from the living God, but encourage one another daily as long as it is called today, so that none of you becomes hardened by sin's deceitfulness. There's an old legend I heard years ago that is very cheesy, yet nonetheless has a ring of truth. And it goes like this. The devil was giving a tour of his factory, which was filled with all the seeds that he sows in the earth. There were the typical ones, such as anger and greed and lust and envy. But he pointed to the largest one as his favorite, and that was the seed of discouragement. The devil proudly said, I love this one the most because I can sow it anywhere at any time. Somebody asked him, is there a place where it does not seem to be very effective? To which the devil sheepishly replied, yes, in the heart of a grateful person. Cheesy, I know, and yet many of us can testify to the power of discouragement, even when we are doing everything that we believe God wants us to do. There are those voices that seem to remind us of our shortcomings, voices that emphasize our faults and our failings, voices that magnify the problems and make them bigger in our mind's eye than God. The voice of discouragement is a powerful weapon. It moves people to give up, to surrender to hopelessness and helplessness, to redirect themselves toward things that will work rather than things that are right and true. And the writer of Hebrews knows this. He's speaking to a people who are dealing with the effects of persecution upon their soul. They were living for Jesus in a culture that was antagonistic toward their faith and had value systems and opportunities that were contradictory to the ways of God. Not much has changed. There are still those cultural value systems that are in contradiction to God, but there's also the powerful voices of discouragement that can settle into our soul. And if we're not careful, those voices of discouragement can beat us down so much that we end up giving up our faith. That's what the writer is concerned about, and that's what we should be concerned about in our day. People are in many ways abandoning faith at an alarming rate. People are just giving up. People are withdrawing from their ministries, turning away from their callings, all because discouragement has kept them trapped. And in the letter, the writer is giving an antidote to discouragement, and that is a supportive community. That one another verse, encourage one another daily, he says. One another is one of the most popular phrases in the New Testament. It's mentioned almost 100 times, and nearly 60 times are talking about the ways in which the people of God should relate to each other. Love one another, serve one another, forgive one another. In many ways, God provides for us an antidote to the sinfulness of the world, and that is a supportive community that practices the art and act of encouragement. You know, encouragement doesn't come because we are filled with an intellectual ability to answer the problems and issues of people's lives. Encouragement comes through expressions of care, of reaching out to people that we know are going through a difficult time, writing a text or making a phone call or a short little note to help a person, scheduling a time to take a person out for coffee, to listen and give the gift of listening. These are important actions and arts of encouragement. And so let me just talk with you about the value and the power of a timely word for a person. Sometimes it's because we know people are going through a difficult situation and they need to be valued and they need to be heard and listened to. Other times we don't know what's going on in a person's life, and yet we're prompted by the hearing of their name in our inner voice. The inner voice of God is always moving us to be self-giving in our love for others. And so the writer is in many ways calling attention to how the voice of the Spirit moving the people to offer actions of encouragement can be the safeguard and help determine whether people walk out the will of God in their life. So I hope that you'll hear in this message a call to encouragement, a call to act in ways that lift people up, that give people gifts and values. This is the way that God provides for our community. So let me encourage you to be people of encouragement. Timely words, phone calls, texts, messages, handwritten notes. Those are the kind of things that can create supportive community to protect us from the issues of sin that can overtake us and overcome us. There's a lot of exciting things happening at Genesis Church. This is the beginning of the school year, and with it comes the lifting off or the renewal of various ministries. One thing we're lifting off around here is Alpha. Alpha is an extremely effective way of communicating the richness of the simple gospel message. It'll meet for about 10 weeks every Tuesday starting September 5th. If you're interested in coming to Alpha, all you need to do is reach out to our pastor of outreach, Dustin McGowan. There's some information in the e-news about this, and you'll find that information on Sunday as well. Also, Wise Kids is going to be restarting. That's our after-school programming, which involves adults simply being a loving presence and care for kids through our after-school program. And so if you're interested in Wise Kids, reach out to Nicole Gunther, talk with her about how you can make a difference in the life of a child. Also coming up is the football season. On September 2nd, we're going to have a Razorback watch party in our sanctuary, an opportunity for us to come together. The game starts at 3, so it's from 2:30 to 6:30. Come. It's a potluck, so sign up to bring a dish. There's also activities for kids, so bring your families. This is a way for us to connect. So I hope to see you at one of those events and one of those opportunities, and once again, I hope to see you Sunday.